So a few days ago, I went ahead and gave my rundown and my recap of NAB 2023. And it, once again, was a blast. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go ahead and check it out. But this video is going to be on specific products and specific entities. In this case, I'm going to give a rundown of everything that I learned and spoke about on Zcam, the Chinese company that has really came in and given the industry a run with their cameras that have been widely popular and widely acceptable. So today I'm going to go through everything that I learned today regarding the Zcam F6 Pro, including an update on some things that was mentioned in the video I posted previously regarding pricing and shipping. So if this is a camera you are interested in, this is a video you can't wait to miss. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for joining in with me. I'm James Jackson, and today I am excited to talk about the Zcam F6 Pro. This is a camera that I really had my eyebrows raised when they were first announced at IBC last year, which was well over 8 months ago. And since IBC, the camera has really been quiet and not really much information has come about it until recently with NAB 2023. However, there is tons of information that are coming out as well that are posted on the Facebook group. So if you guys want to just get constant updates on this camera, definitely make sure to check out the Facebook group. It's really well run, and you got the owners of Zcam as admins there as well that come in and answer questions all the time. Now, before I go into the Zcam, I would like to get some clarifications on some things that Jordan, who was the person I spoke to at NAB 2023, with some things that were had to be corrected. So one of the things that was corrected was the fact of the price. Now, Jordan said that the camera would be priced at $3,500. This is not the case. It's actually $4,000 or $39.95. The other correction was the shipping time. When I spoke to him multiple times as well as another person, they were telling me that this would be coming out at the end of the year, or they were hoping that it would be coming out at the end of the year. The Zcam F6 Pro should be coming out mid-May. So next month, super excited. I can't wait to see the footages that are coming out. But let's dive in and sort of go into what's similar with the Zcam F6 Pro compared to the other models, especially the original Zcam F6, and what are things that are different. And essentially, all the recording options are the same. All the recording features are the same. And basically, they're using the same sensor that is in the Zcam F6 Pro. So image quality-wise, should be roughly the same. So it can still record like the original Zcam F6 Pro. It can record ProRes, ProRes LT, ProRes HQ, as well as H.265, and it can record BRaw as well as ProRes RAW externally. You can shoot 3.2 open gate using the full sensor, as well as getting all the different 17:9 and 16:9 recording options, as well as some anamorphic options as well. It uses the same mounts system as the Zcam F6 Pro, so it will be shipping with an E-mount, but you can get a PL mount, an E-mount, or an MFT mount purchased separately if you wish. Just like you can use the same mount adapters as you did with the previous Zcam F6 Pro. And just like the previous Zcam F6 Pro, you can also get drop-in filters to put in on your E-mount or PL mount and get ND filters put in that you can control electronically. Now, just like those other ones, you also will have to keep in mind you will have to get a clear filter option as well, because there's no clear option. You will have to make sure to remove and put in. It's not necessarily my favorite option in terms of types of ND filters, but at least it is an option compared to other cameras that don't even give you that. Now let's go into the things that are different. So the first thing is the body is different. It appears to be a bit bigger than the original Zcam F6. So if you're planning to try to use cages that you had if you are a F6 owner to put on this camera, it will not work. You will have to buy new cages for this. Other differences is now it has a whole bunch of inputs and outputs on the cameras. First of all, it actually has a 12G SDI, which is a huge deal because, one, you obviously get 4K 60 out of that. But even better, if the capabilities are available and the technology is there, you could potentially go 6K out. Now, this isn't coming from Zcam or anything. This is just in terms of the capabilities of a 12G SDI. This is definitely a possibility. It's just right now, the technology isn't there. The other thing that is now new with this is that you also have timecode and genlock, which are huge ordeals to really amplify the professional level of this camera. Along with this, you now have a V-mount built into the battery itself. Now, for those that wanted to keep things as small as gimbal as possible, they may be a bit bummed by this, but personally, I think that V-mounts are the far superior option between the two. And that is just simply for the fact that it gives you a wider range of options to power the camera, as well as different accessories that you can go right to that. And it also gives you a more professional look. And on top of that, V-mounts have gotten smaller while still powerful. So in terms of lightweight, there's still tons of options you can go with that if you want to go. And in terms of the weight, I was able to pick up and hold the camera myself. It's got a pretty good hefty weight. I will say with the V-mount and the anamorphic, it felt like it was still weighed less than what my Canon C70 weighed when it was rigged out. So to me, even rigged out, it's still got a nice weight, but it's still got a good amount of heft to it that you can stabilize the camera. And because it also, you got electronics, especially with E or EF glass, you can still use lenses that have image stabilization to stabilize it even further. So kudos to Zcam with that. But probably the big reason, the big difference with this camera is the fact that this will be coming with a monitor that you can attach to it and control the camera from. So this is a pretty big deal given the fact that this is the option that you're pretty much going to go with. Now again, you got HDMI and SDI, so you can get a monitor out. But in terms of the camera that's probably best suited for it, because you're able to control it directly with it without going to some sort of third party and remote system, you can basically take all the interface and go to the menu system and get everything set up through this monitor. And the monitor is a touchscreen, and you can pretty much go through anything, including the electronic NDs. If the electronic NDs are on there, you can control the Zcam F6 Pro through the monitor. Now, this monitor is also the reason why we probably didn't hear anything for such a long time, and that is because of the fact that there was a lot of critiques that came out when it initially was revealed at IBC, that there was some concerns about security of the cable. Well, Zcam heard these feedbacks and basically spent this time really working to make sure that the monitor is secure. So now the monitor, so now the cable that connects directly to the camera has a lock-in solution that basically locks it in and it will not move, as well as a point that actually connects to the monitor to where you can lock it in and it won't move as well. So security seems to be resolved. The only thing that I would say is it appears that the cable that's connected directly to the monitor doesn't seem to be removable. And I personally think this may be a problem, just simply for the fact that if something does go wrong and the cable breaks, you're kind of SOL and you have to get a whole new monitor. Hopefully this is not the case and Zcam can really offer a solution where you can take both out while still locking it in. Now, there were some other things that Jordan talked to me about that I was able to discuss in that original video that you saw. So one of the things that we discussed was Blackmagic RAW. And one of the things we talked about was the fact that, yes, you can do it externally. But what I heard from Zcam was the fact that they are pursuing, and I got to be very, very careful what I say here, they are potentially pursuing to see if there is an available option to do BRaw internally. Doesn't necessarily mean that it will be, but this is something that it does seem to be something they are pursuing. And this also goes into what Blackmagic Design said with my interview with Dave Hoffman, that basically where he confirmed that there is availability for manufacturers to take the BRaw code. They have the ability to do it themselves. It's just working with them. And if you haven't seen that Blackmagic Design video, I will leave a link in the description up below, which is right here. So the idea of having Blackmagic Raw internally would be a huge, huge thing, because this would now give given options to where we don't have to do a crazy workflow like we would have to do with ZRaw, or having to go to an external monitored system like we would with like the Video Assist. One of the things that I also mentioned to Jordan was the fact that, well, given the fact that you can use Blackmagic Raw and you will be able to support Blackmagic Raw with the Zcam F6 Pro, in theory, this also would mean Davinci Resolve should be able to start supporting the Zcam color space pipeline. And he definitely agreed. He said basically they are in talks with Blackmagic to get that pipeline integrated into the Resolve system. So no longer do Zcam users have to figure out how to work around using different color space transforms to get the image looking right. Now there should be a system where they will be able to work directly in Davinci Resolve. And the last thing I brought up was talk about the processor, because Kenshin at IBC was talking about how the processor was used to help them expand the color space pipeline, but what other options they could do. And what I was informed that while the recording options are going to be identical with the camera at launch to the F6 original one, it appears that the processor in this camera seems to be capable of doing higher frame rates, and that they are pursuing, possibly via firmware update, additional recording options that could be shot with at higher frame rates. One in particular that I hope comes to this is 6K open gate 48 frames a second. Now, would 6K 60 frames a second be great? Sure. But honestly, 48 frames a second to me is enough for the open gate, and I would love to see that. And I would also love to see what other additional recording options that could be pushed with this camera. So potentially more frame rate options coming via firmware with this camera. And that's basically it with the Zcam update. Ultimately, I am very impressed with Zcam. I am also impressed with the team. They were very informative. They were very helpful. They were excited to sit down and talk with me. I had a great time talking with Jordan. I had a great time talking with Kenshin regarding the Zolar light lineup, particularly talking about the Vega 80C. And it does seem like Zcam has a plan in terms of creating a production workflow system, because they're not just working on cameras, they're also working on improving the color renditions and darts of lights, with their light systems getting extremely high CRI ratings and getting very good skin tones. All of this can affect the color space in the pipeline itself, and affecting the image that you get. So having to be able to work with lights, having to be able to have good solid cameras and getting recording options, I'm really, really excited to see what Zcam will be proposing in the future. But that's it for me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys are into this. Let me know. Leave your comments below. And as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, take care, everyone.